Hey Ted, you want a D&D Eyes Captain Planet today?
Well, he is made of earth, air, fire, water, and heart.
Air, earth, and fire, and water. That sounds like a Genasi to me.
Right, but there's no Genasi for heart.
Yeah, let's just do D&D Genasi. What character class should you play? Welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds, I'm Nerdarchy's Dave, and today I'm hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy's Ted.
Hey, maybe it's your first time hanging out in Ted's basement with us. Nerdarchy is a place where we like to talk about news, views, and home brews for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, and sometimes we talk about other role-playing games.
So if you don't want to miss a single video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and attune to that notification bell.
Like we said, we're going to be talking about 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, and, this is our D&D Genasi, what character class should you play? But before we jump into that, we would like to talk about maybe some other character races you might want to experiment with.
So if you jump down to the description below, you can check out the link to the Kickstarter of Humblewood. And this is sponsored by the Deck of Many, the sponsor for this video. Humblewood is a great campaign setting that is filled with a bunch of avian races that you can add right into your D&D game. So you can either play in their campaign world or just use all of the cool spells, magic items, races that are in this book right in your D&D world.
Yeah, you're going to get a full 5 avian bird folk to add to your D&D races. But not only that, you're going to get another 5 furry little critters, anamorphic creatures that you can add in as well. This thing is fun. They're killing the stretch goals. They did an amazing job with creating this free PDF that they were giving away for a long time. So much so they decided to turn it into a full book. It was weighing in at like 60, 70 some pages before. Can only imagine how amazing it's going to be now that they're throwing their full weight behind it on all the Deck of Many resources.
There's loads of different backer levels, so you can choose what you want. If that's not enough, you can piecemeal your pledge and get whatever you want via the add-ons. There's even minis that are completely sculpted off of the new avian races.
Yeah, they've got minis, they've got standees, there's going to be animated spell cards. There's all kinds of good stuff going on over there. I highly recommend you go take a look at that Kickstarter.
All right, so let's dive back into the Genasi.
So we have the core Genasi race, and then we have 4 sub races to go along with it. The race itself doesn't have much to offer. Most of your benefits are going to come from your sub races.
Right. So your base is going to be a +2 to your constitution, and you're going to get the language of primordial, which that in and of itself, means that you have access to a rare or uncommon language, and that generally the Genasi are a hardier folk than other races that are out there.
Now, for this series of videos, what we generally do is we're going to take a look at each of the Genasi sub-races, and we're going to then break down what we believe is the most optimal class for that sub-race, and then we'll also look at some unexpected choices that we thought would be fun as well.
Absolutely. So, I know you like to do things in alphabetical order, so let's dive in, and we're going to start off with the Air Genasi.
All right, Air Genasi, you're going to get several benefits from picking this sub-race. So you're going to get a bonus to Dex, a +1. You're going to get Unending Breath, and you're going to also get Mingle with the Wind.
The ability to basically hold your breath forever kind of leads to me like, oh, well, you're going to get this, this race that doesn't really get to seem exhausted to me. Because I know, most people out there have done physical exertion, and it's that catching your breath that everybody sees. So when you have somebody who's like, they get out of battle and everybody's like, and he's like, what's the problem?
Well, that's true. All he has to do is hold his breath beforehand and they're good to go, pretty much. So as long as they can basically take a breath, they never run out of air. And then the other thing is Mingle with the Wind, and that is once per day they get to use the Levitate spell.
Pretty fun, and you mix that with a bonus to Dex, that leads you to believe that this is going to be good for a ranged combatant. Therefore, you could just levitate and, shoot your missile weapons from up above.
Well, once a day, you could be your own mobile platform. But that being said, yeah, anything that's Dex-based is going to be good for this. Any Dex-based fighter, Dex-based ranger, the rogue class, all of those would make great choices for an Air Genasi.
Absolutely. So we said in the beginning that we're going to talk about some unexpected classes that might work for this, but for that we're going to hold off a little bit, and you'll see that we're going to talk about the generic Genasi that might be unexpected at the end.
Yeah, there's a lot of overlap, so we'll kind of do those together. So next up, we have Earth, if we're going in alphabetical order.
So the Earth Genasi is going to get a +1 to Strength, Merge with Stone, and Earthwalk.
So Earthwalk is basically their ability to ignore difficult terrain on any kind of earth or stone. Super useful, as long as you meet those conditions, you're going to be able to move around, you're going to be freed up. And their other ability, Merge with Stone, is basically they get the Pass Without Trace that they can use once a day. Now, I actually consider this one of the best abilities in the game. Literally, it's you and all your buddies get a +10 to your stealth check. It's in some ways it's sometimes better than invisibility.
The group getting a +10, it is probably one of the largest passive bonuses that are out there that you can actually do. I've seen this used in games quite a lot, and it definitely changes the entire outcome by the use of that spell.
Yeah, group stealth checks become a breeze with that one. Now, all right, expect it. We're getting a +1 to strength. We're getting a +2 to con. This is very much your physical character classes, your martial character classes. Whether you go fighter, ranger, barbarian, even paladin, these guys are going to excel at any of them.
Having the more hit points, having the higher strength, it's a no-brainer. There's a lot of paladins these days that their charisma isn't as important. All they want to do is use their spell slots to smite, so it's dumping it all into strength and con. So totally works here.
Absolutely. We'll get to the unexpected at the end on this one. So again, now we're going to keep on going to fire.
So the Fire Genasi actually gets a +1 to Intelligence. They get Dark Vision. They get Reach into the Blaze, and they get Fire Resistance.
Yeah, so they get a nice suite of abilities here. That Reach into the Blaze is the cantrip Produce Flame. They're going to get that. And then at 3rd level, they get Burning Hands.
Which is a nice attack spell. It attacks in a cone. No attack roll necessary, so useful there.
Now, that +1 intelligence, +2 to con, this is definitely going to lend itself to playing a wizard.
Wizard definitely works, but there's other things that you can do with that. If you're going to go with intelligence and constitution, that leads me to be able to play some of the other intelligence-based casters that are, not primary casters. So this is going to be your Eldritch Knight, and this is going to be your Rogue Arcane Trickster.
So you're going into our unexpected classes for that.
For that one, yes.
Yeah, so, yeah, absolutely. Eldritch Knight, I was right there with. That bonus to con works with a fighter really well. Eldritch Knight, your primary casting ability is going to be intelligence. So if you want to mix the martial with the spell to make a Gish type character that works. I wasn't seeing the Arcane Trickster Rogue angle at first, but you kind of convinced me.
So I looked at this and say, okay, you can put your 15 into intelligence if you're going to use the basic stat array. So you start off with a 16. You put your 14 in strength for your Eldritch Knight, or you put your 14 in Dex for your Arcane Trickster. You put your 12 into Constitution, bumping it up to a 14. So now you got 14, 14, 16 in your prime stats for those classes. As a rogue, Dex-based, you can still get into melee. You don't always have to, be a ranged combatant. And there are times that your rogue, having the D8 hit die, you're going to just need more hit points. And getting that bonus to Constitution as a Genasi, I totally think this would be a great way to go.
Well, it goes back to ye old argument of when do you have too many hit points? And the answer is never.
Very true, sir.
All right, so we've got one more left, and that is the Water Genasi.
So the Water Genasi is going to get a +1 to Wisdom. They're going to get an Acid Resistance, and they're also amphibious.
They're also going to get a swim speed and an ability called Call to the Wave. That is Shape Water as a cantrip, and they're also going to get Create and Destroy Water as a 2nd level spell, and they get that at 3rd level. So they actually get more than anyone else, and that swim speed is a big deal.
So we've seen in games, underwater campaigns and just disadvantage on everything, moving slow. it is a major hassle. And I've done campaigns or done sessions where I've used a lot of things that grant a disadvantage, and it can change the encounter drastically. So being able to just ignore that disadvantage because you have a swim speed totally is a game changer.
Yeah, and for anyone that doesn't know, a lot of the restrictions you have for doing things underwater are totally negated once you have a swim speed. That's the mitigating factor. So what classes are we looking at for, the optimals for this one?
Well, this is kind of a no-brainer. With that +1 to wisdom, you're going to go right to your divine casters. This is going to be your druid. This is going to be your cleric.
All right. So now, when we did the dwarf video, we got a little bit flack because we didn't pick monk as one of the prime classes for the hill dwarf, because just like the hill dwarf, the water genasi gets a +1 to wisdom, +2 to con.
Right.
But the reason why we did not throw monk out there, monk is a melee combatant with a die 8 hit die. Even with the extra hit points, it doesn't make up for that lower dexterity you're going to have and armor class. And the truth of the matter is, it may only be a armor class of 1 less, but with bounded accuracy, especially at the lower levels, that makes a huge difference. You're going to get way more often. The little bit of extra hit points you're going to get at the low levels does not compensate. At the higher levels, it makes sense. It totally works out. It would still be a fun character to play, but I just don't think it's enough to push it into the optimal arena.
So now we did have some unexpected that doesn't match with the group unexpecteds, and for this one it's going to be the ranger.
Yeah, the ranger, because the ranger is such a heavy exploration pillar character class, and this particular genasi gets amphibious and the swim speed. I really feel like that is going to make for a great aquatic ranger.
100% agree with you, sir.
So now we can go jump back, because both of our air and earth kind of shared the same unexpected, and everyone kind of shares it as well. And that is, in essence, because these are elemental creatures, they draw their strength from the elemental planes. They're very thematic for any kind of cleric or wizard that is elemental flavored.
So you dive into the thing that is themselves. All of the elemental powers that they all have. They all have some kind of casting. So the ability to add on more casting to that is just going to make them a better caster.
Right, and they're just themed that way anyway. As long as you pick the corresponding element to the corresponding genasi. So we think, for unexpected, it's going to be elemental type casters, whether it be cleric or wizard. And, obviously you would probably want to take a look at that elemental infinity feat at some point as well. And, get the whole shebang going on. So that is our D&D Genasi. What character class should you play? What do you think? Did we get it right? Did we get it wrong? We got a place where we can discuss it, and that is down in the comments below. While you're at it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
On your way down there, don't forget to stop by the description and check out the link to that Kickstarter for Humblewood.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.